I've known about book nooks for a while, and I have thought about doing one, but never really got round to it. But my friend Ian sent me a photo a couple of days ago. He's doing one from 2001, that circular set where Dave does that, his exercises running round it, and that's inspired me to do one. And I was thinking about doing a fantasy one where basically you've got a long section and you've got the land here, and then you've got tunnels all the way down, and I was going to put, goblins in there and trolls and stuff. But in the end, I've decided to go for a Blade Runner inspired one. And the reason I've gone for that is, number one, I'm into Blade Runner at the moment because we're doing Blade Runner in Character podcast. But the other thing is I had thought about doing a Blade Runner inspired diorama sometime back in the autumn last year. I started on it, and I got a couple of figures from a site called We Print Miniatures that do some really nice, interesting looking science fiction characters, real cyberpunk style figures. And I thought about doing a street scene, and I've got a couple. Here's one. They are slightly bigger than Games Workshop. These are 32mm figures, the ones I like. So there's one, and there's the other. And I got my first two, and that's as far as I got. But now, thinking about doing a book nook, I've now decided to make a street scene. So what I've done, I've got a piece of A4 here just to roughly work out the scale. And these figures I've put down here are roughly the size of the figures I've got. So it's going to be this wide, and it's going to be pretty much A4 in height, and it's going to be forced perspective. So I'm going to have a street scene here, like a busy street with the characters. I've got a building that they're going to be standing in front of, and then in the midground I've got some buildings here, and right in the background I've got tall buildings. And this thing might be a blimp. I thought about maybe having a blimp hanging there, and I'm going to be making this all out of sheet styrene, and I'm going to light them. So all these buildings are going to be easy to make out of sheet styrene, and then drill holes and then put LED lighting in them. All right, so this is the first initial ramble from me about this. That's roughly what it's going to look like, pretty much real one-to-one scale. This is how big I've got to make it. Okay, so I'll return when I've just ordered 3 more figures. I'll return when I've got some more figures, and I will have got parts, and I will have got started. Well, here we have my highly sophisticated engineering planning stage for the Nook book. I've done lots of drawing things out, working out what sort of viewing area there should be by measuring my existing bookcase and the width of the books that are in there. I want it to slot in there nicely, and I've come up with a height which is 32 centimeters and a depth of, what is it? I think 25 centimeters. So with that, I went off to Hobbycraft yesterday. I do apologise, we're not in focus. There we go. I went off to Hobbycraft yesterday and bought some foam board, some new scalpel blades. I wanted a mini collet for my Dremel for drilling holes, but they didn't have one, so I'm back to a little pin drill, hand drill thing. So what I did yesterday, as I say, I've cut out the 2 sides, and now I've got to work out the width of the scene. I don't want it too big, it's meant to be slotting in amongst the books, but I want it to be peopled by quite a few folk down here at the front. And also to aid me in this, I have got this chimney stack, which I put together yesterday morning. I was all eager. Ian had fired me up. So I made this chimney stack, which you may recognise is a partly cut down external rocket from the space shuttle kit. Still got tons of bits and pieces left over from previous builds using Airfix kits. So all I've done there, this is obviously just the front half. All I've done there is add a bit of styrene rod, that pink bit's off the Tamiya Pink Panther Jeep, tank turret there. That's a bit off the old SRN-1, I think, helicopter, hovercraft, sorry, and just an aerial off of something. And the big holes I drilled with my Dremel, the small holes I've drilled since I've come back from Hobbycraft, all right? And that's going to be roughly there behind a building. The guys are going to be in the street, then we're going to have a building, then another building behind that. This stack will be somewhere about there, and then going off into the distance will be the forced perspective skyscrapers. So I think about 15 centimetres viewing area will be fine. Too much and it's going to be too wide, but I don't want it too pokey. And also last night I crudely cobbled together my first skyscraper, which is just 2 bits of styrene sides, as you can see there, giving it a bit of a slant. And I've marked off and drilled some holes, and I've got to put another piece in there, and I'm going to put some small greeblies on there, you know, and this is going to be way in the background, up high, way in the background like that. All right, I didn't see the point in making it as tall as the scene. There's no point, because in the foreground there's going to be a shop front and then a building. So what I'm going to do is down in about here, about halfway down, I'm going to put a shelf, because you won't see the lower half of any of these. So that's going to be sitting on a shelf round about there. All right. So yeah, as I say, all I'm doing right now is working out how wide this should be. And I think 15 centimetres is about right. So next step is to cut out the back and the floor, and I'll come back with an update hopefully before long. Going by that little sketch, which was actual size, I'm translating it to the foam board. So just placing things and working out what's going to go where. So this area here is the pavement or road area where there's going to be people. I'm thinking that building, which will be the shop front, will be at an angle, just so everything's not all 90 degrees. This tower, my first thing that I was making, is almost done. I just need to paint it and weather it and put the LEDs in. That's going to be the depth of the book Nook. And I can't remember in the last one, I don't know if I said that I'm going to, at the back here where that line is, I'm going to put a shelf 11 centimetres tall, and that's because there's no point, I should have thought about it before I did that tower, there's no point if in building all these tall buildings if there's going to be a building in the foreground disguising them. So at that back line there's going to be a shelf 11 centimetres tall, and so that means that, you know, the skyscrapers in the background way back there are going to be sitting on the shelf that you won't see, and it means I don't have to build blooming great skyscrapers out of plastic for absolutely no reason. It's going to fall over. Another real quick update. So yeah, this Blade Runner tower, this first one that I've done, I've sprayed it in grey primer, then sprayed both inside and out in black. That's to stop light seepage. And then the front half I've painted in a Humbrol grey, and then I'm in the process of weathering that down and dirtying it down. This is a very rusty, wet Blade Runner street I'm going to be doing, and not a very nice one. So they're the two halves of that. And for the illumination, I've still got a roll of red LED strip, which is 9 volts. So all I've got to do is put I tried it. I laid this in there like that, put the two halves together and lit it up, and the holes aren't bright enough red, and that's because the LEDs are too far away from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plastic card strip along there, so these are much nearer to there. All right, and then when I've done that, glue that up, and that is the very first part of this project done. This, which is the first of my skyscrapers, is finished, and all I've got to do is get some white LED for the lights, but I don't want them all white. That's going to be kind of boring. I want some of the lights to be coloured, and I could buy some coloured acetate, but usually they're quite thick, and that's going to be difficult to cut them out and get them down in there in little places, small spaces like that. So what I've elected to do is go out and buy a box of Quality Street, because Quality Street, of course, each sweet comes in a clear coloured plastic wrapper. So I don't eat sweets, but my daughters and my wife do, so I'm going to be popular when they come home later. And all I ask in return is when they have a sweet, they give me the wrapper, because then I can cut them out, because they're little more than paper thick, and trim them out and just glue them in there. After, of course, I've painted all this and painted the inside black, paint them in there, white LED, super bright LED on the back wall, and then that's going to be done. And then the last little update for today is, I think all I can fit in this street scene, because of the round bases, is about 6 characters maximum, 5, maybe 6. Okay, and as you know, I've already got 2. So I've just had 3 more come from WePrint Miniatures, and they are all incredibly derivative, let's put it that way, shall we? They are homages, if you like. This one, not so much, but this girl, I'm really getting a tank girl vibe off of. All right, with her revolver hidden behind her back. So that's character number 1. Character number 2 is most definitely a riff off of one of the characters from Bubblegum Crisis, the 90s anime, and I'm thinking I'm going to do this one in blue and yellow. I'm thinking colour all the time about, you know, I want them all to differentiate. So Tank Girl over there is going to be much more muted and camouflage colours. This one is going to be Bubblegum Crisis and nice shiny anime blue and yellow. Dig those high heels, eh? So that's that. And then the third one, you can't help but know what this is. Look at that. Now, why anybody would be wearing an environment suit walking down my street, I don't know. Maybe they're scared of getting their version of COVID. I don't know. But yeah, clearly this is an environment suit from Alien. And I'm going to paint it as such. I'm not going to go with Dallas, because Dallas's was pink, and I don't think pink's going to work too well in my scene. I'm thinking Lambert or Kane, whichever of those two had more of a yellow beigey colour to it. I think, yeah, that was Kane, wasn't it? Kane was like scrambled egg yellow. So yeah, Kane is going to make an appearance on my street. All right, so first of the new figures, a bit bright on him. No, that's not going to work. Well, you get the impression. There he is. So happy with how he's come out. You know, the detail is really excellent. All you have to do is basically put washes on it. So that's the first new resident on the street. And I've had a think about how I'm going to make this. And I think what I've got to do is I've got to work from the front of the book Nook backwards. If I start at the back and move forwards, I might run out of space. So I've got a line. Hang on a second, let me get that. I've got a line here. You see where I've done circles. They're all the spaces where the people are going to be standing. All right, you can see I'm only going to have like 5, maybe 6 inhabitants of this street. So I've got to work from the front backwards, and I wanted a shop front. And initially I wanted to have something with an Atari sign and this, that and the other, and make it look properly like Blade Runner. But I've looked into it, and you can't really, or at least I haven't been able to find anywhere that do, you know, Blade Runner signs that are in the scale I want it to be. Or what I wanted was just signs on clear plastic so I could backlight them. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if I am going to have signage, I'm going to have to print them out very small or cut them out of magazines or something. So we're going to have a line at the front, that's the pedestrians, and then we're going to have some frontage, and the frontage, the main part of the frontage, is going to be this. All right, and I'm not sure what it is. It looks a bit too clunky to be from a model kit, and it's certainly not one I recognize. It looks more like it's a toy, but it's injection plastic, just like a model kit. This was given to me by my friend Andrew Glazebrook, and he obviously was going to, I've got to ask him, what were you going to do? Look, he's put some black paint in there. Whatever that was, he's capped it off with a bit of plastic card, and on this side you can see he's added some more kit bits. So obviously he was going to do something that way up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it that way up, and I'm going to block off the lower third or so and have a doorway in scale with those figures. And then this open space, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a light. Okay, and if I can manage, I'll show you what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do, I bought this thing from a shop we got in here in the UK called The Range, which is like an old style Woolworths. And this was cheap. This was only like £6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there like that. And then I've got a remote control, and I can change the colours, and there's different effects to do on it. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to use. All right, and I haven't decided on what pattern, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to, that open space, I'm going to put multiple layers of tracing paper to act as a diffuser to just break up that light a bit. And the beauty of having a remote control is that you know, I can switch it on when I want and change it as I want. The challenge is going to be putting this together and still having a way of taking it apart in case I need to change the batteries, which might be tricky, because on the top here I want all sorts of gubbins. You know how in Blade Runner you've got a building and you've got pipes and industrial things and fans and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe Velcro the two sides together and have a removable top. I don't know. Next step is just break this apart and spray everything black inside. All right, so I'll come back when I've done a bit more work on that. So that's going to be to the left of the book Nook. If you'll refer back to the drawing I showed at the beginning, you'll see what I mean. Then I'm going to have something else here, and I'm thinking that's going to be all industrial and pipes and stuff, and maybe some lighting in it. All right, and then behind that is going to be a building in the midground. Haven't got round to that yet, but also is going to be this tower that I've been working on, which, as you can see, I've now finished. If I can do that, see, it does light up quite well. What we've got is that red LED strip in there. All right, and then I've only got one 9-volt battery at the moment. Everything's going to be pretty much running off of 9-volt batteries. And there's me flasher. All right, so that's in the midground, that and the building that I have yet to start. And then in the background, I have finished the building with the Quality Street wrappers in there. If I, oh, sorry about that. If I do that and connect him up, you can see what's going on there. Come on. Excuse me. Hang on. Oh, that's a good start, isn't it? Oh, trust me, that was working. Why aren't you working now? Hang on. Oh, how odd. Unless my battery's just gone flat, I've lost the connection somewhere. Oh well, I'll come back with that. The way to test whether that was the battery or not is I've made another building. This is another background building. You can see it's just cobbled it together from kit parts and plastic card. Will it work? Yes, I've definitely got a wire off on the other one. So yeah, this one. There we go. Can you see that? This one isn't coloured. This is just bog standard white LED. All right. Okay. Well, that's it for now. That's a bugger. I've got to take the lights out of the first building now. All right. I'll come back with that repaired and an update shortly. Right. So in the midground, I want to have a building. So foreground, midground, background. In the midground, I wanted a building with windows. And for that, I'm using this stuff, which I used when I made my little Hadley's Hope corridor scene with the aliens in it. This is a plastic grill for aquariums. As you can see, it's great stuff. You've got this, it's flat on one side and recessed on the other. And what I'm doing is, or what I've done, excuse me. So this is it. And basically what I've done is I've blanked off the area that is not going to be seen with a bit of a breakfast cereal cardboard. And then what I did was I laid it down and drew everywhere where I didn't want the light to come out, and then removed that and cut out that bit which gave me that. So this is where the light is going to be. All right, now I need to cover up all these bits, and in some places, like at the top, I'm going to be putting a bit of plastic card on, like so. But I've also found that some of my tons of this stuff, EMA I-beams, look, fits perfectly in there, gives me another little bit of ridging detail. So that's what I'm going to be doing in that bit. And then, so that's going to be the front once that's all detailed up. Looking forward to doing that bit. But behind it, I've made this tray out of plastic card, and you can see that's going to be the visible area. And to illuminate that, I've got this string of 20 lights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them down in this area. And then I'm going to put a diffuser over that to break the light up. So that's the progress there. And a little bit more progress with the shop front. What I've done is this is going to be the other bit. So this is actually the absolute, the foreground here is going to be that thing there. So that's the shop front ready for primer. Up here, kit bits, very recognisable kit bit there. EMA tubing and I-beam there. That's a leftover piece from my MI SPV, part of the rocket firing thing. These are resin pieces from I won a scratch building contest and I was sent lots of parts, so they're from that. That orange piece is from the inside of a Nerf gun. If you crack open things like that, you get all sorts of interesting shapes. That's a tank piece, Tamiya tank piece, Tamiya Pink Panther Jeep piece, Oh, those two pieces there, that's part of the haul that I got from as that prize. EMA tubing, EMA girder, and up there that's a nacelle from a teeny tiny enterprise kit. I've left that bit spare and empty because I most probably put a sign there, and there's a door here that's going to go on, but I can't glue it yet because I'm going to paint everything up and then put the light and put the filter thing in, and then the door goes on. All right, so prime next. So I'm nearly done on all the weathering for the shop front. This is in white and yellow because I'm going to put some of the Games Workshop contrast paint on there, or technical paint, the Tesseract Glow, to try and make it like a green neon effect. That may or may not work, I don't know. In there you've got the fuzzy bit of Velcro because I've backed the light with Velcro, and the idea of this is eventually I'm going to have to change the batteries in that, so I'm Velcroing that in there and put the door across the bottom, and then this whole shop front I'm not going to glue in place. I'll be able to lift it out any time I need. All right, so that's going to go in there next, and once that's in, this bit of food packaging, which has this nifty square thing, is going to go glued on the inside there as a diffuser for that. All right, and then the mid-size building is ready, all ready to go. All right, we're getting close to starting to put things together. This part is done and is removable. And here on the side, here's the left side. I've put the mirrors in. Still got the blue protective film on at the moment. I'm going to take that off once I've done the next thing, and that's what I'm kind of like waiting for. And I've got a bit of a delay now in that the street light that's going to be going here, that I've run the pipe in to take the cable for, that's going to be illuminated with a super bright white LED, which hasn't arrived. So I can't stick any of the buildings that are going to be up here and down in here. I can't do anything there until I've attached it, because I've got to lay it on its side to glue that properly. So always on halt at the moment. I'm still making a couple of other little buildings to go at the back. So I'm just going to crack on with doing them. And I'll be back next once that's the LEDs come and that's on, and I'll be able to give you a little demonstration there, I think. Don't know how well you're going to make this out because the super bright LED is very, very bright. So what I've done is here at the back, I've hot glued it into a piece of tube, which I then run the cables through into this tube, which then goes down into here, which then goes down into here. And then I put a frill of baker foil around the bottom of the LED. And then what I then did was glued in the old projector prism in place. And then when that was glued in, I've then hot glued the foil to the back of the prism, and then I've painted all that black, as you can see. Now this is very, very bright, so it's going to white out on me, but you can see on my thumb I've actually got an unexpected bonus. I was expecting the light to just go forward, but because it's a prism, it splits the light, and look, there we go. We've got a nice blue downlight. We've also got a rather nifty orange uplight. I don't know what that's going to do. I might actually put a bit of the mirrored card on the roof and see if it can bounce down a bit. And then this is too bright. This is far too bright. It's going to white out. Yeah, it's whited out. But you can see, or you can sort of see, there is a green there. So this is quite nifty. I'm glad I saved that that prism when an old projector was being chucked out. So now this is in place, I can start actually putting in the buildings, moving from the front to the back. So we go layering it up. Shop front, building. Let's put the lights on the building, shall we? There we go. Tower. And I've started putting the other buildings at the back. And you can see I've peeled off the film off the mirrors. So hopefully this is going to not be too obvious that it's just a mirror. Coming together now, and not far to go, I don't think. So I've got gaps to fill. Looking at it from street level up, the buildings are doing their job, but there's gaps. There's a gap here that I don't like. There's a gap just here that I don't like, and this is too low, and there's too much of this pipe exposed, so I need to put a building or something down in there. All right, there's a sideways on to show you how it's all shaping up. I'm not bothered by all the hot glue because of course you're not going to see any of that. All right, one other thing I've thought about doing is, there's the mirrors, so we're going to get some colour reflecting, but I want a little bit more at the back, and I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but down here you can see I'm starting to cut a slot out, and that's for this building. Hang on a sec, let me just put the light on. Sorry, you've just gone blind for a sec. There we go. Now this little fella is a skyscraper that's not going to be going forward. It's actually going to be sideways on, and I'm going to put it just behind that building. The idea being the lights are going to just shine on that mirror and then back on itself, just to get a bit more lighting in there. All right, so yeah, I think when I next come back, that's going to be in. There's going to be the maybe progress on building the bits, but I think the next step, once I put that on, is actually put the right hand wall on, and then I can gauge much better how things are going. Also put the back wall on, because any additional bits that I will be putting in, I can glue them in straight down in like so. So yeah, put this one in, put the side wall on, put the back wall on, and then I'll come back. I'm just about to put the front on and then the top on, and I'm done. I haven't put the disco lights on yet. I'm saving that for the finale, but I'll pan on upwards. The lights are a bit bright, so it might flare out, but hopefully you'll get the idea. That's the street light. There's the city block. Here comes the tower coming up, and in the background, there's all my skyscrapers. All right, so let's warm up that hot glue gun and get that front on. And there he is, in situ and all done. I'm pretty darn pleased with how this has come out. I'll refer you to my original sketch, which this isn't too far from, really, is it? Yeah, pleased with how it's come out. It's a bit narrow, but you know, I don't want to give up too much of my shelf space. I'm pleased with how it's come out. I particularly like the skyscrapers at the back. Thank you, Quality Street Wrappers, for the colours. This thing here is just, it's all right in the flesh, so to speak, but yeah, it's whiting out horribly, as is the prism from out the old projector. But I'm very pleased with how it's come out. This is has been a good, fun project, and not straight away, but I think I've got a hankering to do another one, a narrower one, and this time fantasy, I think.